May 19th, 1975, on that afternoon, at about 4 o'clock, Harold Franks was murdered. There were 3 young men who were apprehended and blamed for the crime. There was no physical evidence that linked them to the crime. There was no holster, no gun found, no pipe found. The only thing that was found was a paper cup and 3 bullets. 1 bullet removed from the neck of Ann Robinson, the store owner's wife, and the other 2 bullets were removed from the body of Harold Franks. Now, the trial of the 3 men, the first trial began 71 days after the murder. That was the trial of Ricky Jackson. 1 week later, on August 4th, the next trial, where Wiley Bridgeman began, and then in September 19th, the 3rd trial, Ronnie Bridgeman began. During the trials, the Assistant County Coroner, Charles Hirsch, testified that he had removed the bullets from the body and that he examined the cup, the paper cup that was used allegedly to throw acid into the face of the dead man, Harold Franks. Now, during the first 71-day period, for some reason, the bullets vanished and the cup vanished. In the trial transcript, Dr. Hirsch says that he examined them and then he turned them over to the coroner's office, who turned them over to the police department, and they were lost. He said he identified them, put the bullets in an envelope, but for some important reason, they were gone. During the trial of Ronnie Bridgeman, where Judge James J. Sweeney was an assistant prosecutor
at that time,
yes, he went before Judge Angelata, and Judge Angelata at page 239 of the transcript said that this young boy, a 12-year-old boy, was highly suggestible. The boy is telling things that are untrue. They're not necessarily lies because he's not doing this voluntarily. But Judge Angelata knew that the testimony that came out of that 12-year-old boy was not accurate. It was not the product. He was being the product of his own mind. He was being manipulated. Now, the bullets were missing for one reason. Because those bullets, when microscopically analyzed for the ballistic evidence, could be traced to a specific weapon. But after convicting these 3 young innocent men and sentencing them to death, and quite possibly executing them, if that bullet could be matched to another crime that took place 6 weeks later, 6 months later, 6 years later, or 10 or 20 years later, then that would prove conclusively that the gun that was used in the Franks murder was still out on the streets, being used by the perpetrator of the crime, and that the wrongful convictions were the product of corruption.
Yes, yes.
They didn't want that to happen. When I say they, I'm talking about the prosecution team, which includes all the policemen, all the prosecutors, and James J. Sweeney. Now, that 12-year-old boy that I've been telling you about is sitting next to me. 44 years since that time. He's 56 years old now.
That's correct.
And he came to talk to me. Eddie, nobody's paying you to talk to me.
No.
Nobody offered you any money?
No.
You were offered money in the trial back in 75, right?
Yeah.
$50?
Yes.
Okay, but nobody's paying you for you sitting down here talking to me today. And you're here because you want to be.
Sorry.
Can you remember the day of May 19th, 1975, 44 years ago?
Yes.
You can remember that, even though it's 44 years back.
Yes, I remember the whole day, every aspect of it, you know.
Why do you remember it?
Because it's a day that that I saw a man laying on the ground that had got shot and died.
First time you ever saw a dead body?
First time I ever seen a dead body.
12 years old?
12 years old, yes.
It was in your neighborhood?
Yes, it was, yes. Matter of fact, it was a couple of streets over from where I live.
Now, your testimony on the stand during this series of trials was not the truth.
It was not the truth. No, it wasn't. It was coerced by the police department, by the detectives, Detective Turpay mainly. Detective Farmer was there, but Detective Turpay, I don't know if I guess he, I'm young, but now I understand you have lead detectives and then you have certain detectives that are something. So I figured, because he did all of the main, pushing and presenting things, to me, and I had no idea all of these things were going on.
And your perspective over 44 years, because you've gone from 12 years old to 56 years old,
right?
Your perspective on life has changed.
Yes.
And your perspective on what happened to you has also changed.
Oh, quite a bit.
Tell me about it. What happened?
Well, once I found out the real truth, and what happened is it changed my perspective, period. Not only in their case, but in the judicial system, period.
Excuse me, before we go any further, I met you through your pastor, Pastor Singleton, right?
Yes.
And he's sitting here in the room with us.
Yes, he is.
There's just 3 of us here.
Yes. And I guess I was taunted by everything. And what I mean by that is like, inside me I knew that it wasn't the truth, and it was a lie.
What you told him?
Everything was a lie. And I battled with that still battle with it, even though they're out. Still battle with it psychologically, mentally, and
do you feel better now?
I feel better, but I still hold the unforgiveness for me.
You're the only one that hasn't forgiven Eddie.
For me, that's right, because even though I was 12, and I understand how they used me, the police department, the detectives.
What do you mean they used you?
They used me because my mother told me when they picked them up when they arrested them.
The 3 boys.
The 3 boys. When they arrested them, they came to my house, and my mother, she was like, they was like, well, we're gonna take him down to do a lineup. And she was like, well, I'm gonna go. No. They always told her that she didn't have to go. He'll be fine. We'll have him back home. And
are you saying that your mother wanted to go with you?
yes, but they always somehow convinced her that she could just stay at home. Even during the time when I was going downtown before they got arrested.
So you went downtown more than once?
Yeah, see, after I came forth, that the information was given to me, through a friend that, he says he didn't say it to the day, but he did. Because I just wouldn't have just picked these names, these people out of nowhere. I just got off the school bus, so how would I know all this, And,
wait a minute, you didn't see the crime?
No, I didn't see the crime.
But you got information from a friend?
Yeah, from a friend. From my understanding, he was on the bus with us too.
Another 12-year-old boy?
Well, he's older. He was like
still
14, 13, 14, yeah.
A year or 2 older?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was ahead of me. But the thing is, it's like he came out, we was on our way back from the scene, because I stayed up there for a minute. Then I came, and then I left. to go home to drop my school books off, and I was going to come back up there. So,
did you have to go get a shot? Your father took you to get a shot?
that was afterwards.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
I read that somewhere.
Yeah, he did. But I went back up there, and Tommy Hall had told me this, and so, you know, went back up there, and I'm standing around in the balloon. Hey, anybody know? Anybody see anything? Oh, I know. Because I was told, you know, coming up as a kid, you know, you want to do the right thing, so you do the right thing. You know, I wasn't told that you know, you see something you know that's not right, or you hear something, then you tell about it, you know. So yeah, that's what I did. And they didn't take me the first day. I think they came about either 1 or 2 days later, and they came and they took me downtown.
And that's when your mother wanted to go with you?
My mother's like, no, you know, we know it's a school night, and we'll have him back home before 11 o'clock, you know, before it's late.
Okay.
And that's when they started. They took me down there, and so they gave me the books that had pictures of people, and it was like, you know, because they asked me how tall they were. Well, being in the neighborhood, I knew of them, but they were older than I was. Now, Ricky, his brother, and I came up together. You know, we played together, so we knew each other. I knew Ricky's mothers, just like I knew Wiley mother. I knew Ricky's fathers, you know, just like, you know, but to be around them, because they were like my older sisters in them ages, so, you know, I knew of them. So it's like, well, how about how tall he is? So being a paper boy, I mean, I know them. So so I gave some heights, and they sent me down there, going through the book. And so it was like, well, you know, they had a gun. I said, yeah. So yeah, they had a gun, didn't they? It's like, yeah. So everything was being like fed to me. And
so none of the testimony that you came up with was your idea.
No.
It was all in Turpay. You said Detective Turpay was the guy who was feeding you this?
No, all of it. And it's like, that man was laying on the ground, and he died. I seen him take his last breath, and that was such an emotional thing, you know, to see somebody take their last breath, and it was like you heard him gurgling and gargling, and just, you know, and it's like he was looking straight at me, you know. It's like, oh, you know, it's kind of scary, you know.
Kind of scary? Very scary.
Yeah, no, it's like, wow. And I didn't know that he had battery acid fluid in his face. I didn't know that they hit him over the head with the sticks. I didn't know all these things, but they told me all these things. Yeah, but you know, you saw that. Well, where was you? You was standing in the bus stop when you got off the bus. No, I was across the street, coming up the hill. Actually, when we heard the gunshots, we were coming up Cedar, you know, from Stokes Boulevard.
You could hear it?
Yeah, because it's summertime. We had the windows open.
Could you see it?
No, we couldn't see it.
You never saw anything?
No, because if you go up Cedar from University Circle, it's a hill. So we heard the shots as we turned and started going up. Right around where the medical examiner, the coroner is right there, right in there, that right there. You can't see over the top of that hill until you get like all the way up there. Then you can see Petrarca at that time, and the gas station, and the houses right in there, and the store and everything. Yeah, but yeah, you could hear it because the windows was open. So we heard the pow, pow, pow. It's like, oh man, that came from up there by the store. So, you know, everybody got excited. So it's like, so when the bus door opened up, you know, we got off the bus. So we all started going up that way because we were where the shots were being fired. And as we got closer, then that's what we saw.
Did you ever see the car?
No.
But yet you described the car.
No, I described a car that I seen them ride, that I seen Wiley riding the Wiley and Buddy through the neighborhood. Of course I seen this car. This is in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? It was a car that he drove. That I don't know where he got it from. I don't know where it was, but I'd seen him in it, driving it.
Now, when you told Turpay things that he didn't want to hear, what would he do?
Oh, he got mad. Oh, he got mad. He got really mad at me. Well, you saw this.
He was right next to you in your presence?
Yes,
when he got
in
mad?
my face. You saw this.
So why didn't you say no?
I did say no, and then when I said no, that's when he got angry. I said, you saw this. And then he would write it down. Write it down. This is what I said. Yes, because I thought, I told my mother them about it, but I thought my mother, when she told me, they wouldn't let her go down again. I told you.
Again?
Each time that they took me down,
repeatedly,
they wouldn't let her go. They would not let her go. And I learned the law once I got older, that I wasn't even supposed to be doing an interview without an adult.
You were just a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah, I was a minor. I was supposed to have an adult with me at all times.
Did there ever come a time when you broke down emotionally in front of the cops?
Yeah. The time that my mother told me not to, she said, she pulled me aside, took me to the living room. She said, they'll let them go. All you got to do is just not pick them out of the lineup, and they have to let them go. And that's what I did.
What did you do? You picked them out of the lineup?
I did not pick. She said, don't pick them out of the lineup. I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't. I did not say anything about anyone. Every time they brought somebody, it's like, no, and they got mad. But Detective Turpay wasn't the one who got mad.
He was not?
He wasn't the one.
Staple?
I think that was his name, but he was the one that bammed on the desk.
What did he do?
He took me in a room like this, or less like this, and bam, and he threw the phone and all the stuff that was on the table. And you lied, and you didn't tell the truth. And I started crying on. This man is yelling at me and screaming at me. I'm like,
And you're crying. What did he call you? Did he call you a name? Did he call you a name?
Yeah, well.
Did he or didn't he?
Yeah, you could imagine what he called me.
Oh, I know what he called you.
Yeah.
It wasn't nice, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Did it have to do with your race?
Yes.
So at 12 years old, you're getting a first-class lesson.
Being called a nigger, yes, that's right.
How'd you feel?
Just felt so bad and so low. So low. And he stopped and then he said, that's all right. He said, we'll fix it. And he left out, him and the other detective. And then they came back and they said, sign this.
Sign what?
Sign this. I guess they had typed something up. And I just signed it and they took it.
Did you read it?
No, they didn't give me a chance to read it. Now realizing what it said on it is that I was scared to pick them out of the lineup.
That's the reason you didn't pick them out, because you were scared, is what they said.
That's what they said.
But why didn't you really pick them out of the lineup?
Because they didn't do it. Because they didn't do it.
I'm getting mad sitting here listening to this 44 years later.
Because they didn't do it. And another thing they did is when the detective, when they took me out of the room and we were leaving, and he said, who was that? I said, that's Ricky Jackson. I said, yeah, that's Ricky Jackson. So they took and they used that as a form of identification, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that they could do that. I didn't know. I didn't pick them out of the lineup because I knew that they didn't do it. Everybody in the neighborhood, all my family, everybody knew that these people, they was like, hey, you know they didn't do that.
Is that right? That was the talk of the neighborhood?
Yeah, and they were mad at me. But they didn't know what I was going through with Detective Turpay. They didn't know how much this man had put so much fear in me that to the day, a person who gets angry, gets loud, it intimidates me. Even to today, sometimes.
Speaking of fear, and the fear in you.
Mm-hmm.
I read that they threatened your parents with prison.
That was the thing that they told me sitting at when I was at the table. It's like, yeah, when he knocked everything down, it's like, he said, you can't go to prison. He said, but your parents can go to prison for perjury. Perjury, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, but I don't want my parents to go.
Did that have any effect upon what you were going to do because of his threats?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because even with the trials, it was so bad. I mean, of course, their brother, I don't know, he said some things about he wanted to kill me or whatever, but it wasn't a threat that my family and the people in the neighborhood, they knew. He was just a lot of talk. That was Wiley's older brother. And they took it and they made it seem like, oh, this is going to be a problem. You can't stay in the neighborhood. So they put me in a hotel downtown at a Holiday Inn. I don't think that was the real reason why that. I think what they were afraid of is that I stayed in the neighborhood, that the people and being around my family was going to break me down, and I was going to deny it.
If you don't have family support when you go home, then the support of the police can overcome that. But if you have that family support, they wanted to keep that away from you. Mm-hmm. So they isolated you.
Yes.
Just like putting you in any other prisoner camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was so hurt, and I'm already hurt. And now I'm away from my family. Now my mother was really sick back then, and she had cancer, and she really couldn't do a whole lot, and she came down to try to stay with me, but she really couldn't. And all along, I didn't know that they had people watching me.
What do you mean?
They had detectives watching me. They had them sitting in the lobby watching me. I didn't know that. So my mother, she had cervical cancer, but until she got the bags put on her, but she had to use Pampers back then, and it was a great drug up the street on 9th Street, and so we walked up there and got the Pampers and came back, and so the next day when I got ready to go to, to court and everything, and he's like, man, he pulled me in the corner, man, he was all in my face. He said, why did you leave this building? He said, you were supposed to leave. I told you not. I was like, there I go, I was crying again. He was like, yeah, you went up there to Great, they followed me all the way up there to Great Drug. I was like, wow, man, I don't know. I don't think anybody can know how.
Well, with all this emotional trauma you're going through, tell me, how did you, as a 12-year-old boy in junior high school, fool the prosecutor?
I didn't.
What do you mean you didn't?
This was the whole thing. The prosecutor I met with, I'll never forget his name.
Mathey or Sweeney?
Sweeney. He's a judge now, but Sweeney was the head prosecutor, or the one that was in charge from what I saw. Him, Detective Turpay, and me, and Farmer, we're all in this together. And they were like this. When you go on the stand, this is what you're going to do. You got to say this exactly the way that it is written.
Sweeney's telling you this too?
Yes. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. All of them, everybody. And Sweeney was the main one that when he, I guess, what do you call that, would lead out, he would make sure that I kind of remember the first trial, he would kind of make sure that I remember certain things, that he would say certain things like, and remember you said that, and then I would have to, and then I would go ahead and say those things. But yeah, he was one of the ones that, he was right there. Oh yeah, he was right there. He was right in on, and he knew that all this was a lie. He knew this. He knew this. This is what makes me mad and angry inside and hurt so much, is that they all knew this. They knew this.
After they were convicted.
Before they were convicted, they knew all this was a lie. They knew the prosecutor and them know that all of this was made up. All this.
And you were the only key to getting these 3 boys sentenced to die.
That's it. And I couldn't understand why they would let other people testify. People that
knew differently.
That knew differently. That knew differently.
After they were convicted and sentenced to death, how did you feel as a 12, 13-year-old boy by now?
Yeah. Actually, I really didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Oh, no. See, I went to court, and after that, I left. I went back to the hotel. I never knew the trial's over. I never was told, after each one, I was never told
what happened.
What happened.
Were you going back to school? Tutor? They
made my mother. I know all of this happened all the way up until September. September, I was in.
This is all summer. That's right. School's out.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is all summer. And in September, when in August, the last trial. One of the last, but they convinced my mother that I should move back to the neighborhood. That we have relatives somewhere else that I can go. They sent me away from my family. Even though I went to where my mother's brother, which was my uncle and my auntie, but I don't know these people. I'm not, I know them, but I don't know them. They live in New Jersey, Princeton, New Jersey, and that's where I was. And I think I was in school for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And then I had to come back to Cleveland for, I called him Buddy, but...
Ronnie's trial.
Ronnie's trial, right. Because they had to try him as an adult, right? Yeah.
So after all of the damage is done, after they are sentenced to death, and you learned they were sentenced to death.
I didn't learn that until I saw it in the newspaper when I came back to Cleveland for a visit.
How'd you feel?
I felt really bad. When I felt really bad, because in the Calling Post, I was reading it, and on the front page, and it was like, death row was abolished. These were the inmates that were going to be executed. It said something like to that term. And I looked, I'm like, wow. And I'm looking at all 3 of them were on there. And I had no idea that they were sentenced to death. I had nobody told me. Nobody told me. And I couldn't when I actually went to New Jersey, I couldn't tell people exactly who I was and where I come from. That's what they told me. So you can't let anybody, because we don't know, they might have some relatives, they might have some people, nobody needs to know where you are and where you come from. So I had to lie. So, man, where you from? Of course my family knew, but the kids were curious. It's like, we are just for Cleveland? Oh, yeah. And I just happened to look at the map, but, I got the map up, Oh, yeah, I'm from Cleveland, Florida. It's crazy. As the first, because it was it was bold. I was like, yeah, I'm from Cleveland, Florida. That's crazy. That's the type of life that I had to live. Well, I couldn't tell anybody. Even when I came back to Cleveland, I was still under that. I can't describe it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah.
And then that fear on Mr. Detective Turpay. Wasn't so much Detective Farmer. Farmer was, he was quiet. He was like, I don't know about what he did otherwise, but I know.
But he's watching this, and he never did anything to stop it.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't, but he was quiet. He did not have a whole lot to say. The only thing he always said is that, they gave me cards, if you need to talk or you need somebody bother you or anything, give us a call and let us know. And throughout the years, when they always told me, if anybody come to you, want to talk to you, I think they already knew he already knew what was going to happen, that the lawyers was going to come and try to talk with me. Anybody want to come and they want to talk with you and talk to you, just tell them to call me. And he said, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Now, after you were 12 years old, a decade passed, you're 22 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 22 years old, 10 years go by.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about what you did?
I'm still feeling terrible. I'm so I'm so complex. I'm so depressed, but people don't know it. I'm so full of anxiety. I'm so full of hurt because of what happened.
Do you feel that what they did, the prosecutor engineering this testimony, do you feel that it's destroyed your life?
Oh, it destroyed my life. Because one day, me and my friends were there, they were kind of hanging out, and then me and my oldest daughter, mother, at that time, we had a falling out. She kind of made me upset and mad. So I was like, okay. And they were drinking, they always, I didn't drink it at that point in time. They were drinking and smoking weed and stuff. Now, so I came up there and was like, hey, what's going on here? These are my buddies. I told them what's going on, Like, oh, man, he'd be all right, man. I said, man, let me get a drink, man. It's like, you don't drink. But at that same time that this happened, all the emotions and everything that happened when I was 12 years old, all of that was triggered in. So at that point in time, I'm like, I'm really heavy, and I'm like that. So we're not giving you nothing to drink. So I went and bought my own beer. I was old enough. I went and bought my own beer, and there it went from there. I started drinking the beer, started smoking marijuana, and I thought that this would take away the pain that I was feeling inside, and the hurt and everything. But then I get up the next day, and it was right there.
No.
And then it went on to crack cocaine.
That's when you quit.
Crack cocaine, and I was like, oh my God, yeah.
Do you feel that would not have happened had you not done what you did?
Oh no, my whole life would have went in a whole different direction. I was went honor roll, but I was merit roll. I wasn't dumb. I wasn't stupid either. I was right there. I got good grades. I got A's and B's. I got a couple of C's. I got a couple of D's. But but mainly my main subjects, I kept up with A's and B's. Merit roll student. I had hopes of being, because I love science. So that was, I still love it to the day, but science was I wanted to be a science teacher. That's what I wanted. I had nature, science, biology. Oh man, that was me. That was me. That's what I wanted to do. I had plans. That's what I wanted to do, to go to college and do.
So you're living with this ghost that's following you from what you did.
Yes.
But there came a time when you wanted to unburden yourself with this.
Let me tell you, every day was a burden to unburden myself. Because every day I dealt with it, and I was like, should I come forth? Should I not? Should I come forth?
Every day you're asking yourself.
Should I come forth? Should I not? Well, you're going to go to prison, should I come forth? Should I come not? Should I come? It's like, God. And that inside this head was really heavy, to the point where I just wanted to commit suicide and everything.
You thought about that?
Oh, I tried.
You actually took steps to do it?
I tried. I took pills. I cut my wrist. Look at a little mark right there, still there, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then there came a time when you were in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Your pastor came to see you?
Yes, he did. Yes. It was a time when there was a whole lot going on. It was a whole lot going on.
Anything you want to tell me?
Relationship, things that were going on inside that. I'm not going to talk about her, but but God, but there was so much pressure going on in that household that it was, it could have blew the top off itself. Just that, and plus what I was already going through with the things that happened when I was 12, and I can remember her telling me all that. She had a couple of dreams about it, and I would, I know that was nothing but God, but she was like, I dreamed you was on a school bus, and you was driving the school bus, and then when you got to the end of the place, and you got off, and then you wouldn't get off on this dream, and then you got off off the bus on this dream, and I'm sitting up here, I'm like, wow, how does he know all that? I know this is God, because I'm a God-fearing man. I'm in church, I know, and I'm like, man, this is God using her to bring forth, want me to come forth. It's just like, and you got off the bus and you weren't right, it's like the bus was going to crash and go over the hill, and you wouldn't get off of it. It was going to take you over. And finally, at the last minute, you got off the bus. I'm like, wow. But I was dealing with a lot of things. I was, I had to pay for everything and just everything. Because the money that was supposed to be coming from this other person, but it was being used for other things, so that put the whole load on me to do everything. And the doctors kept asking me, why won't your blood pressure go down? We didn't put you on this medication, we didn't increase it, we gave you this and increase, and it won't go down, and it was having an effect on the kidneys. They kept telling me that. It's like, this is having an effect on your kidneys, because it's making your kidneys have to beat harder and harder because your blood pressure is so high. And so I told him a few things. It's like, it's still got to be something else, but I didn't include what I was going through when I was 12 years old. Also, I didn't include that.
In other words, you kept it from the doctors. You kept it from everybody.
I kept that from everybody.
Even when Pastor Singleton tried to question you about this a couple of times, you kept it from him.
I kept it. I refused. I just didn't.
But
even at the time when I met Wiley, when I worked at the city mission, I wasn't ready to come forward. I wasn't ready.
What got you ready?
I was tired, and I believe I just didn't want. I know that I didn't want to die without the truth being known, and that's what I felt like. I'm hungry ready to die, and I need to let the truth. Because what he did, it's like everything was timed at that time. It's like, God, okay, I'm in this position. I'm getting ready to leave. I think I'm going to leave here. Just so happened, she wanted to come up to see me. And then also, the pastor said, well, I was thinking about going to see him too. Well, let's go up together. And they came up together.
The pastor and
her, yes. And her. And yeah. Well, at that time, she was going to be my wife, but, she broke off the engagement. So, fiance. But
so when the pastor came to see you, what happened?
I was laying in the bed, and I was sitting there, actually. I was sitting and laying in the bed, then I sat up when they came in, and so he, we were all talking, and he was talking, and he was like, Ed, I said, Brother Ed, I just want to let you know that the people from the Innocence Project came to talk to me. And before he could get everything out, I jumped up and said, "Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to tell the truth." I mean, he'll tell you himself, but it's like he didn't really have to say anymore. It's like, I'm ready. I'm ready. And it was like, when I said that, it was like such a relief came over me. Like a calmness, like a, you know how you exhale on something? It's like, yeah, I'm ready.
Did you go to court?
Yeah, I went to a hearing for Ricky. I think I know Kwame. He had already been out for a while.
Kwame is Ronnie, who's changed his name.
Right, but he had already been out a while. And his brother Wiley was back in for whatever reason, but he was back in, and Ricky never left. So Ricky was 39 years. So, but I went to a hearing for him, and what I did is with the Innocence Project, I wrote out the truth, and I told them, that I was coerced by the police and the detective Turpay and all them, and that everything was a lie, and everything was a lie. And
but it was not a lie in the sense that you voluntarily spoke the lie. You were coerced.
I was coerced, and plus I was figuratively scared into, because that put fear in me. That man put fear in me. I mean, total fear. Not afraid of my father, but this man, I was afraid of, period. If he said jump, I'm jumping, There was no hesitation with him. There's no hesitation with him. No.
He's dead now, isn't he?
Yeah.
If he was sitting here, Turpay was sitting right there, what would you say to him?
Well, I probably would have to restrain myself from going over there, but yeah, I would have some choice words, but I would have told him, you had me telling all these lies, and knowing that you knew the truth, that these men didn't do this.
If James J. Sweeney were sitting here right now, who went on to become a judge and an appeals court judge, if he was sitting in that chair right now, what would you tell him?
I would tell him the same thing. You knew the truth, but yet instead you prosecuted these three men. For what? For the purpose of because they were black, and because he was a white man, and also for the purpose of fulfilling, I guess, your agendas of having prosecutions, of prosecutions. So yeah, and I truly believe that not only injustice but race played a part of all of this also. It's a part of it in there also.
Is there anything else you want to say before we conclude here today?
I want to say that, I want to let them know, let everyone know that, and let you know that I'm sorry that I was used like that. If I could have changed things, which I tried, by not picking those men out of the lineup, to this day I still say that was so wrong. Because even in that incident, that wouldn't have never let them go to prison. It would have never got to that point to where they had to go to prison if they had just let them free at that point in time.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming down here and talking to me and telling the truth.
Yes.